Hey Pisces, let's talk. I am feeling slow today, but Happy New Year. We're doing this one on the New Year's Day. It feels like a really crisp, nice day out, but very slow moving. So don't mind my low voice and tone here. I'll get some of this purple light here. You're faced with some decisions to make towards the beginning of the year, and I want to emphasize that here up at the top because there have been some things you've been mulling over for a while, and quite frankly, the choice is going to get you further than this limbo that you're in that's just creating maybe some inner chaos that also can show up externally as well, because if you're not addressing it, which means not making a decision either to like just let it go for now or actually actively pursue the decision, the relationship, the new creative project, the new job, the new field, the only thing that you need here is this confidence that you know where you're headed, where you're going, this connection to what it is that you're creating, and the connection that others around you also can sense. You notice who is not only real to you with who goes on this journey with you, meaning they don't necessarily have to literally help you, but not always. They're people who are neutral, people who believe in you, only want what's best for you, and have no ill will towards you. Because there are people who can appear to be happy for you and care for you, and you probably understand this feeling as well. No shade, this is just the truth. Like, this is a normal feeling that some people do feel when they're not feeling good about themselves. You can feel like you want something. Your jealousy or envy, those are different things. Jealousy often wants an action. Envy is showing you what more is possible for you and broadening, expanding your mind. And that's really important right now because it is very much connecting to all of this change. Now, the Tower moment, the Seven of Cups, and the Hermit here. We'll bring these out. Oh, because we didn't do the year for you. I would say let's do this for your year. And then I will also make sure that this is in the short, this part. So what you're being guided to do is, it will appear or seem like for you that it will be like going against your nature, is to be more focused on the self and what you're learning from yourself and gaining from yourself. But it's something that's been a call for quite some time now for a lot of you, and some of you have been in and out of this space of paying more attention to yourself, paying more attention to what's getting your attention in life. Doesn't matter if it's positive or negative, whatever is getting your attention is something that you're digesting. So this can seem very drastic for a year ahead, but this is about learning how to go with your own flow and seeing that whatever is truly underneath, Pisces, what it is that you're looking to have, attain, whatever it is that you desire, whatever you put up here in these cups, meaning whatever it is that you're putting energy to, whatever your goals are, your visions, for some of you, what's seducing you to continue, right? For others of you, it's just deeply what you desire, and they're wanting to make dreams come true. You may not have the capacity for them all, but like I said to you, because you have this type of power, type of energy that can expand into more, that the less expectation of doing all of it and the more expectation of doing one or two, maybe one really well, you might just draw in the right people, the right situations that expand into these other areas, not because you've given up, but because you've accepted. So there's an acceptance to what you're seeing about yourself and in your life, and how that actually expands your life even more, because you're not just outsourcing all of the extra excess, or not excess, but that extra energy that you do have, or the only energy, like the little, if you're not, if you know, if you what the days are feeling run down, that energy you do have to what you know you want, knowing that that will spill over, being the water that you are at some point, into the future. And you seeing that this is only good for what you're able to digest. If you're taking on too much, you know, your body can feel it. You know, you can go into overdrive. Your body can even or stop working normally and healthily, and then that can become normal, right? If you're not addressing it, or you don't, or just don't know how, you know, because we don't always understand that that's how energy gets locked in the body, but that's okay, because we're learning, and we're always learning. And that's what the Hermit also says, is like, I understand and I'm learning. I understand and I see that every time I get closer to the light, it guides me. Every time, any decision you make, it's guiding you anyway. Anything that you're doing is guiding you anyway. This is, for some of you, the reason why, because I was like wondering, like, because, you know, the cards are very interesting. They're just like, it was just very much especially those first 4 cards, very concise. And I was like wondering, okay, like, well, is there anything underneath this? What more do we need to know about the situation? This is about empowering yourself to have boundaries with people that you love, Pisces. And it sounds so crazy to say that, but we often will put down certain things for people that we love so much, that for people that we never knew boundaries with. But what we don't realize, that of course, if it's coming from a generous place from you, it probably always is coming from a generous place. But you have to remember that sometimes doing those things are also not having the other person learn the lesson they need to learn. And how do you know that, right? How do you actually know that? There's a part of you that really does understand, because it's actually harder for you. If it's harder for you to say no, or even yes in some cases, right? Giving your energy and not holding on to it too tightly, which is rarely ever you. However, if you're in a drastic place right now and you're really in deep indecision, that could be something that comes up. But what you do know is that it's a little harder for you, and you need to allow yourself that gentle compassion and say, like, wow, this is actually hard for me to do, and this may hurt the other person or be uncomfortable for them, but it's also, you have to acknowledge yourself in this moment. It's also uncomfortable for you, but it's helping shift something that has been held in your mind, in your heart, actually for some of you it's like various or one very specific situation that transcended time. It stuck with you. This is, and for those of you that are committing deeper, this is you letting go of other options. It's also helping heal whatever, you know, committal issues you've had. For others of you, this is leaving behind a way of thinking altogether about people in general. I mean, not saying that you don't need this for protection and that some people do operate this way, but it's learning to not assume, not have judgment out, and and finding that lack there of yourself. When you don't judge yourself, you don't judge others as much. And look at all the swords here. This is a lot about what's healing your mind, how your actions have been, or inaction has been harmful to your mind and your mental process, and the good luck and the good fortune is on the other side. And I do believe that this is before and preparing you for Venus going into for Pisces risings, your first house, even the sun, but preparing you for this Venus change. I just want to take a look at what day it is actually changing. Oh, it's changing very soon on the 3rd, so I'm glad we're talking because I'm going to put this out. So this change that's happening is opening up maybe your heart, which this doesn't look like heart opening, and it can be painful for sure, but it's you're opening your heart to different types of situations, different kinds of romance, even within the one that you have now, like allowing space for that change to happen. And you would wonder as a Pisces that you would have that, but there's just been so much happening that you may not realize that you're acting from defenses or from protection. And the subconscious change to the conscious is having you truly say bye to something that has, and move along to bigger and better, and realize that you've been hiding from your purpose or seeking it, but not knowing that this was the way to, like, this is the way to it, not realizing that this would be the way to it. Either way, something's coming together, especially as Mars moves back into Cancer. So the retrograde will go back into Cancer. Notes, notes, notes. Yeah, right after Venus goes into Pisces. So a few days after, we will have that happen. And for those of you with a Pisces rising, this will be from your 4th to your 5th, or sorry, from your 6th to your 5th house. So attention of communication will go from the focus of being at work and your health, and how those two things go hand in hand, and how much healing is possible here, also with the Virgo card, but also how this relates to maybe the mother wound for those of you, or having that greater discernment because, you know, you had too much boundaries or a lack there of boundaries, and things were confusing and it just felt normal to you. And the moments where those things that felt normal, you realize are no longer normal for you, can be, for you seeing it with others, you can have, for sometimes you can have a sense of detachment. It's not always the case with you. It really isn't. You're just able to be there. And sometimes you feel, there are times where you may have felt like, you know, well, you're maybe glad it's not happening to you. But usually that means that a lot of times that will then happen. You'll notice that this is driving this, the moment that you make whatever emotional decision it is to move on from whatever pattern kept reoccurring, finally you're done. You have so much to look forward to, or you have so much in store for you and so much inspiration at your fingertips that you don't want to waste it, and now you're accessing even more. You know, you learn things you couldn't have, and there's magic in that, but you learn things you couldn't have and have been not necessarily sleeping on, but very unconscious to, literally, like just extremely unconscious to how this has been affecting the healing that you wanted to do, how your healing affects where you're able to continue to attract, and not only attract but maintain. And the Chariot, being a Cancer card, knows how to maintain. And maintaining means listening deeply into your intuition, because you are a Pisces, in case you didn't know. It's really important. And how do you stay in touch with that? How do you know, right? How do you know when you're not feeling your best? You know, that's the point. It's like learning how to be centered, knowing that, you can't always be the calmest of waters. Life isn't always like that, but it's finding that place for yourself while things are shifting for the better. And there's a power in that. Power that you connect to and that you maybe have felt disconnected to for a while, because maybe over your own healing or what you've been able to stomach, what you've been able to face. It's also the breast, and the Chariot does wear a breastplate. That we can't always choose the time, but it's about the time you're in, the space you're in, and how that correlates with the energies in the outer world and how that integrates together. Very intuitive, fortuitous moments. Your mind needs clarity, so you need to, this is move with your body, trust the places you want to go to and that you don't want to go to, trust each movement of every day, check in with your body and in your intuition. Feel how time and space expands when you are doing what you love or tending to what you love in a way that is very much in your control. What's in your control, what's not in your control. What you think's in your control and what really is and what really isn't. Right? This is where you learn to not control, but be along with your intuition in a way that is more empowering, where you have more access to that power within, that this drove you there, whether it's purpose, whether it's a mother wound, whether it's this deep calling to listen to something because listening elsewhere was not helpful for a while. This is you also seeing the other side of this and healing your intuition, because we don't realize that we're operating out of patterns from the psyche that have been long held within, just out of protection because of a response that has happened. And it's up to you to recognize when love is also boundaries, when love is also not settling, when love is also like, you say the next word, like what would you put there? Love is action. It's showing up. It's when you feel most balanced that you'll have this tower moment, this change of perception, this click, where you're feeling content and able to respond to the relaxation. You're not responding consciously, it's just life responding through you and connecting you to these realizations, to how much energy you have, because we had the Nine of Pentacles out, to the energy that you have for this direction. So yeah, the change happens in the time where you feel most at peace, but it's needed. It's needed. Nine of Swords. It's needed for your mind. Your mind needs a rest. You need to be able to feel maybe less worry for some of you. A couple cards came out. And this is why the spiritual practice is so important. And I'm just like, not just talking about your intuition. I'm not just saying listen and follow. It's like, no, get really in touch with yourself. What the Hermit is bringing you towards is realizing that you may be doing something specific, but within that specificity, maybe it's creating something, you're finding something spiritual here. A spiritual practice, something that's very clear and obvious to you, something that you can speak to and realize that for a long time you actually haven't been stuck. You've just been ignoring, maybe not ignoring, but been ignorant to are unable to look at something in another perspective, which also in turn affected how fast or slow you were going, affected your romantic experiences, affected your career, whatever this is for you, whatever you need to process and digest, but also through the guise of speaking and standing your ground, parenting, mothering yourself, knowing that whether or not you have a functioning parent, an alive parent at this time, a parent who's in your life, they're never going to be the parent you can be to yourself. And that's speaking to something greater than just right now. And then you realize in this moment, hopefully you can see that these boundaries that you put in play are not, they're timeless. You're doing presently what you need for yourself, but it transcends time. It reshapes your future, and it shifts your past and causes healing for yourself. And you're speaking also to more value to yourself and how you value yourself. And that from here on out, for some of you, you're never going to leave yourself out in the cold. You're never going to doubt, meaning also that could be literal for some of you, but some of you could be also like, you're not going to doubt yourself. You're not going to just leave parts of you away in hiding, just because you don't want to see it, just because others have deemed them unlovable. Others have deemed certain things, that's their experience, that doesn't have to be yours. And that's the key boundary and separation here, is like, that, but sometimes you only know that in the guise of, I don't want to be that person, or you don't like this person, or it comes from a negative way, but it also can become from a positive way. And that's where the power lies with water signs, is that emotion and why certain things manifest a lot clearer than others. And if you already know that, play with that now. Play with it, be serious about it, play with the idea of your life being so expansive and changing, and connecting that spirituality, grounding it into your practice of ideas. Because the Nine of Swords clarifying the Seven of Cups is like, there's an overwhelming feeling here. But that's also because there is a desire to feel big and be great. For you, for whatever that means for you. There's a success. But the pressure is not going to help the process. It's going to slow it down. So speaking to those parts of yourself and clarifying what you need, even if it's time or space, because you just don't have the extra energy right now, especially as the holidays have gone on, whether you see family or don't, whatever your experience is, positive or negative right now, there could be a need to regain strength with your voice. Notice where you may have been people pleasing, or where you have shut down, where certain experiences came back that isn't really you. And how that affects the way that you communicate. How you communicate your needs, desires in general, not just with others. And you realize how it actually goes back to a disconnect on a personal level, day to day. You could still be doing the motions, but there's like a disconnect. And you reconnect through, and it could be literally, it could be the very popular thing of manifestation that brings you here, because it's very Taurian, it's material. It's pentacle, it's adding value, but it's because you have so much conviction in your words, so much stability. There's so much that has transformed from here to here, from the masculine to the feminine. She wears a butterfly crown. It's this insight into what from religion or spirituality had kept a disconnect. Something got caught up at some point within you where you maybe disassociated from what was going on around you. Maybe abandoned your own self, and now you're reconnecting in a way that is extremely powerful for whatever you're pursuing right now. Even if it's personal growth and for yourself. And truthfully, all it is for that, whether it's a relationship or career, it always goes back to the self and that personal growth and how that energy expands and expounds to the people around you when you're in that space, and how many people you personally can affect. And that's the age we're entering, and now you're going to feel that, because a lot of people will be very, like I said, be very attracted to you at this time. You know, there's a lot of power there. There's a lot of attraction. But how you speak and how you act and all of that aligning will keep whatever you need to away, and also show you how and who you can allow access to you off of what you're feeling and sensing, that you don't have to abandon that you don't have to keep that dormant, that you can utilize that in personal interactions. And it's not because there's manipulation or control, but it's because you're learning about this part of yourself. It doesn't have to be a bad thing. It doesn't have to be looked at weird. It doesn't have to be utilized either. You know, it doesn't have to be harmful. Nothing dangerous needs to happen. It's just you getting curious about this. All right, Pisces, get curious, open up. Love, greater pursuit of love, happiness, security, spirituality. This adventure continues, and we will see you next month. Take care of especially the front of your body. Like, this is the front. So like your forehead, brow, the chest, down to the stomach, the throat, and we also have the intestines. So really take care of those vulnerable parts of yourself right now. And that's why I feel like this is so important, because, you know, someone could say, you know, you could be in the wrong place, wrong time too. And sometimes our emotions and our releases actually save us from not releasing when we need to. Okay? That's all I'm going to say. All right. We'll see you next time.